Hello everybody, I'm Chris Bottger and welcome back to another album review. Today I'm reviewing Paul McCartney's solo debut, 1970's McCartney. This album is notable as the first of several albums where Paul has played all the instruments by himself. There are some backing vocals supplied by Paul's wife, Linda, but other than that, Paul did all of this by himself. This album was released right around the same time as the last Beatles album and attracted a lot of attention because of it, but how does it stand up today? You probably know how I tackle these reviews by now. I go through my thoughts on each song, then at the end I discuss the album as a whole. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Kicking off the album is The Lovely Linda. This is, rather obviously, a song about Paul's wife. It's very short and isn't really a full song, but it's got a nice folksy vibe, and there isn't too much to say about it otherwise. It acts as a decent opening to the album, as it does set the comfortable, cozy vibes of the album quite well. 6 out of 10. The first full song is That Would Be Something. This song is very repetitive lyrically. The lyrics aren't bad per se, but they aren't amazing either. They do however work well enough for what type of song this is. I like the bongo playing on this track and also the bass line. Paul's vocal delivery is also good, although then again, Wendell Paul's vocal is not great. Overall, That Would Be Something is a solid album track, but nothing special either. 6.5 out of 10. The next track, Valentine Day, is the first instrumental song of the album. This one has good guitar work. It's kind of a bluesy sound and on the heavier end for what you'd expect from an album like this. It's a good moment on the album. 6.5 out of 10. The next track is Every Night. It's a simple love song where Paul sings about what he does every day before saying tonight he wants to just stay with the object of his affections. I especially like the part where Paul goes, ooh, 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 ooh. I really think that adds a lot to the song. I personally think this song is underrated. It's got a good acoustic sound and would be right at home among late-era Beatles tracks like Blackboard or Two of Us. 8 out of 10. Next is Hot as Sun / Glasses. This is a tropical-sounding instrumental with a prominent synthesizer. It ends with a kind of ominous ambiance before Paul starts singing. The tropical part is actually pretty good, and I wish it was longer than it is. I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10 because it's too short. Junk is a slower, old-fashioned ballad that criticizes materialism. Bye-bye, says the junk in the shop. Why, says the junk in the yard. It's classic McCartney lyrical greatness. The song is, admittedly, a bit slow-paced, but it is so short you wouldn't even really notice. It isn't one of Paul's most memorable tracks, obviously, given the breadth of his career, but it is a good album track. 7.5 out of 10. Man We Was Lonely is another one of Paul's cozy country songs. I think what works best here is Linda's backing vocals. Although Linda's vocals are sometimes criticized, I think there's something about her voice mixing with Paul's which works really well to give this song a country inflection. Other than that, it isn't really the most memorable song, but it does work well on the album. 6.5 out of 10. Now, before I continue, I want to take a moment to ask you to please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment if you can. Your support is greatly appreciated. Starting off side 2 is Ooh You. This is sort of a dory or raw sound than some of the other tracks from this album. While a lot of Paul's love songs from this time are more heartfelt, this is a hornier sounding one. It's a good contrast to something like Maybe I'm Amazed or Every Night. Again though, this song suffers from the same problem as a lot of the songs of the album. It works well in the context of the album, but doesn't really stand up outside of it. I know I spend a lot of time talking about how songs work both within and without their albums, but I think it is an important consideration these days, especially in the streaming age. That said, it is also important to know the context in which these songs came out. Every time I say a song works well on the album, I'm actually paying it a pretty high compliment. Overall, I give Ooh You a 6.5 out of 10. Next is Momma Miss America. This is a rather funky instrumental. I love both the bass line and the piano here. The guitar work towards the end is also nice. I don't have a huge amount to say about it, except it is probably my favorite instrumental track from the album. 7 out of 10. Teddy Boy is a song about a boy who gets jealous when his mother gets a boyfriend. That's it. The chorus is kind of annoying and the rest of the lyrics are insipid. I'm usually a defender of Paul's fluffier songs, but this just isn't it. This song would have been better left off the album and should have been either a B-side or an outtake. Probably the latter. 4.5 out of 10. Speaking of songs that should have been outtakes, we have Singalong Junk, an instrumental version of Junk. Why is it called Singalong Junk if it's an instrumental version? You can't sing along to an instrumental version. The regular one should have been called Singalong Junk, and this one should have been just called Junk. I mean, that's what it is, isn't it? This is basically just junk, but not as good because it's missing the lyrics and the vocals. It's not really junk, it's not bad, but I could only consider it good if regular junk didn't exist. Otherwise, there's no real reason for this to be here. 5 out of 10. Next, we have an absolute standout of a track. Maybe I'm Amazed. This is the Shimmering Diamond Core album. It is one of Paul's best love songs, and that really is saying something given the show number he had already written by this point. It also has a good guitar solo. Honestly, Maybe I'm Amazed does feel somewhat out of place on the album, not because it is tonally different, it isn't, but because it is so much better than the other songs on side 2. 9.5 out of 10. Ending off the album, we have one last instrumental, Kreen Akore. It's some sort of weird tribal stuff with crazy animal noises. It's not really an enjoyable listen. Worse yet is its placement on the album. It doesn't really feel like a good album closer. Maybe I'm Amazed would have been a lot better way to end the album. I give Kreen Akore a 4.5 out of 10. Overall, McCartney is a mixed bag of an album. With the exception of Kreen Akore, the instrumentals are rewarding. Maybe I'm Amazed and Every Night are great additions to the Paul McCartney songbook. Junk is good too. The other songs range from solid but unremarkable to somewhat bad. The ending of the album has a stretch with Teddy Boy, Singalong Junk, and Kreen Akore all sort of just dumped there. In some ways it feels like filler tracks were put throughout the end just to get them out of the way. It is weird having the sublime Maybe I'm Amazed among them, however. So that's McCartney, warts and all. It's still a pretty good listen, but it does start to try your patience a bit towards the end. As such, I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10. And as usual, here before I end, I do always like to look at the sleeve a little. You have it, it's like a bowl of cherries. I think these are cherries. Don't quote me on that though. It could be little hard candies, maybe. Or something. But, bowl of cherries, I guess hard candies won't have juice left in the bowl, so probably cherries. Yeah, they've been spilled along this, I don't know if this is like the top of the fence, like railing or what, but they've been spilled along this really narrow counter or whatever in this black void. So it's kind of like artsy, like it's a very like tasteful looking image, like it looks like high art or whatever. Although I do know that some people had also taken this to be a dig at John and Yoko, which if true, was not so tasteful, although it's my understanding that that was not actually the intention behind this photo. So, again, I'll call it tasteful. Very nice. Doesn't say McCartney anywhere on it, on the front, but the back is a bit more representative of the album. There it is, Paul outside in a form, seemingly, although obviously it's blurry in the background, and his child there. Very nice photo of Paul McCartney around this time, and of course it says McCartney. So this is kind of almost like the front cover, but it does have the track listing like of the back. So I mean, you can't tell this is the back and not the front. Sometimes in record shops and stuff, I see this though facing forward because this is the one that makes it clear what this is, who this is by, whatever. It's a pretty nice package overall. I think it looks nice on a shelf and whatever. So yeah, pretty good cover. And again, if you made it to the end of the video, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe, comment if you can. All that helps me with the algorithm. I really do appreciate the people who watch these videos. So once again, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.